Hey, and welcome to the Short Stuff. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and again, this is Short Stuff. And this one is pretty cool because it's about a secret bunker hidden at a resort hotel. Not something you come upon every day.
No, I had never even heard of this until the other day, actually. And I'm not even sure how I heard about it now that I think about it. But it seemed like the perfect Short Stuff because what we're talking about is during the Cold War, the United States government saying, you know what, if the bomb happens, we need our government to function. And in order for our government to function, we need the people of Congress to be safe and not fried from radiation. And the only way to do that is to build a massive underground bunker for everyone to go and live. And that's just what they did. Yeah,
but they didn't like put it on a military base. They didn't put it like underneath the Capitol building. They went to a resort in West Virginia called the Greenbrier that had been around for a very long time already. It's a very well-known resort. It's still around today. It's beautiful. And in fact, Dorothy Draper, probably the greatest interior designer of all time, macked out the Greenbrier, I think in the 30s or 40s. And brought it back to life. It's an amazing place. But they chose the Greenbrier in part because no one would ever suspect that they built the bunker to house Congress during a nuclear attack 4 hours away from Washington, D.C. in West Virginia beneath a resort that everybody loved.
Right. No one would think that would happen except for the people that built it.
Right.
Because when the construction crews showed up, and they were like, all right, we're going to need 3-foot concrete walls here in these huge areas. We're going to need about 1,100 bunk beds. They went, okay, what's going on here? And they said, don't worry about it. Just build what we tell you to build.
Yeah.
And stay quiet because obviously something like this had to be secret. And it was secret for many decades until, I don't know, was it a reporter or just a writer that basically wrote an article about it?
Reporter. A guy named Ted Gupp, who sounds like the kind of person who just out something for fun.
It sounds like someone who now they would use the word like he gupped that thing up.
Right, which
like
means
he wrote
that
an article.
He wasted billions of taxpayer dollars with one single article.
Because it was then useless, and everyone said, well, thanks, Gupp. Now we don't have our super secret bunker anymore. Right. It's very much bombable.
Yeah.
Because this thing, although it's built to withstand, to like be a few hours from Washington, D.C., where the big bomb lands, it can't withstand like a direct hit. And no one would have bombed White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, had it not been for you.
Thanks, Gupp. Within 3 years of Ted Gupp's article, The Ultimate Congressional Hideaway, the Greenbrier Resort was giving tours of it because it had been decommissioned that quickly.
I know.
And again, this thing was in ready operation at a moment's notice for 30 years. Over the course of those 30 years, the 1,100 bunk beds were assigned to a person. And it wasn't like they assigned it once. As new Congress people came in, they got assigned bunk beds. Like if something happened, this place was ready to go at a moment's notice to accept all of Congress. And I say we take a break and then we'll come back and talk about some of the details behind this ingenious plan.
Let's do it.
So, Chuck, if you went to the Greenbrier between 1962 and 1992, you might encounter somebody wearing a Forsyth Associates uniform. And if you ask them what Forsyth Associates did, you'd say, oh, well, we actually take care of all the TV sets here at the Greenbrier. And then the next thing you know, you would wake up in a crypt in Mexico wearing someone else's clothes. That'd be that.
Yeah, and the last thought that you had in your head was, man, there's a lot of people taking care of these TV sets here.
Right, because it turns out that the Forsyth Associate TV technicians were actually the government employees who were secretly tasked with keeping the Greenbrier Bunker at a state of operational readiness at all times.
Yes, it was called, when they built it, I saw 57 and 58, so somewhere in there. It was called Project Greek Island. And again, the location was determined because it's close enough to D.C. to where it's not super far if you had to like get there in a hurry. But it's safe enough to be there. Like, I think they could withstand radiation for how many days could they survive on just the air in there?
3, but then the filtration system was so amazing that it could actually filter out radiation, so they were okay.
That's right. It cost about $14 million. Was completed in 1962, right before the Cuban Missile Crisis. 720 feet underground. 100. It's 2 levels, 112,000 and change square feet. So roughly the size of a couple of football fields stacked on one another.
Yeah, think about it. 720 feet underground. That's
a long way down.
That's a skyscraper down.
Mm-hmm.
And what's nuts to me is it still couldn't withstand a direct hit from a nuclear bomb.
That's scary.
That really kind of says a lot right there. But so when you went to this place under a nuclear attack, if you were a member of Congress, you would be hustled off to the Greenbrier. The first thing that would happen once you entered this secure, sealed-off area is that you would be decontaminated. You'd be given new clothes. Your other clothes would be incinerated. And you would find very quickly that entire swaths of the Greenbrier had also been ingeniously included in this. Even though it was open to the public, they were used as meeting rooms and stuff during normal times. In the case of a nuclear emergency, when Congress took over the bunker, they got sealed off with the rest of this bunker too.
Yeah, so like there were literal, companies would have not a retreat, well, I guess a retreat there.
Mm-hmm.
And, they would go and listen to people lecture about their industry, and not, unknowingly the whole time they're sitting on top of this underground bunker. It's like, it was pretty ingenious to not have it at a military base and to sort of hide it in plain sight in some ways. If you're wondering like, well, how did you access it from the Greenbrier? It would, of course, be behind the door that says danger, high voltage, keep out.
Yeah. Danger, danger. High voltage.
I love that. It's like it's off of out of an Austin Powers movie or something. It's like, just put high voltage and no one will open that door.
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, you're kind of a chump if you go through that door anyway,
Yeah, you'd be a real gup.
Nice callback, dude. That was great.
So what else is in there? You got your decontamination room. You got your dormitories, which are 18 rooms with 60 beds in each.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a cafeteria and a kitchen.
Sure.
They even had a media room set up with fake views of like the Capitol in the background and stuff like that. So they could, they had, like a production facility essentially, because they had to be able to broadcast out in case anything went wrong.
Yeah, and they had 3 meeting rooms, one that could house the Senate, one that could house the House of Representatives, and one that could house joint congressional meetings, like where everybody was involved. They also had a pharmacy with tons of antidepressants, apparently.
Yeah, I bet they had the good stuff.
They had a little jail. And then this, to me, was pretty revealing. I think either NPR or the Atomic Heritage Foundation pointed out that they had, in this little jail area, they had weapons, but that the weapons amounted to like a couple of rifles, some pistols, like some batons and like helmets, like stuff you would have for riot gear. And I realized like that wasn't meant to be used on, Soviet forces trying to gain entry. That's to be used in the case of like some sort of crazy mutiny, like below ground by Congress people who are losing their marbles. Like,
yeah, or just Congress,
scary.
Just old grudges. Like
Right.
they're finally going to take Pelosi down once and for all.
Yeah.
Put her in a straitjacket, because there were straitjackets.
Yeah.
There were 2 boxes of straitjackets with this jail in case something happened like that.
Yeah. So the whole thing was completed, I think you said, in time for the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
Yeah.
That's really
62.
good. Really good timing. And again, when they did this, they did it under the auspices that the Greenbrier was building a new wing. And indeed, the Greenbrier did build a new wing, but there was some really weird parts of it. So it did raise some questions, but apparently the locals kept it to themselves, because it does not seem to have been one of those, open secrets. Like it seems to have been like a real secret, which is, hats off to everybody who managed to keep that a secret all those years.
Well, yeah, because like we said, the construction crews were immediately suspicious, but a lot of people worked on that thing and clearly knew what was going on. And I guess it was just a different time where people cared about their country such that they knew it was important to keep it a secret.
Yep.
For national security reasons.
Yeah. Hats off, government, on keeping some secrets.
How fast would this be tweeted out today?
Right.
If there was a drywall person
yeah.
working on an underground bunker.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Supposedly, the Supreme Court was destined for the Grove Park Inn in the case of a nuclear emergency that would find Congress at the Greenbrier. Yeah.
Where's that?
Asheville.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's in Asheville.
So that's where they would go and bunker down to?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty amazing stuff, Chuck.
I wonder if if there were 1,100 beds, this seems to indicate that they would have their families there, right?
I guess, yeah, it must be. And I think there's a train route from D.C. to the Greenbrier, so there would probably be time to be like, meet me at the Amtrak station. We got to go to your family.
Interesting.
That's the only explanation I can find. Although staff, maybe. I could see Congress people choosing their staff over their family in a nuclear disaster.
That's 1,100 bunks, though. That's plenty of room for staff and families and maybe even an enemy or two.
Sure.
Again, though, thanks to the Atomic Heritage Foundation. Great article on this, as well as NPR, who we always love.
Yes, and great thanks to you too, Chuck.
And you, sir.
Thank you. Well, we thanked each other, everybody. That means Short Stuff is out.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.